The US uses probably 30 to 40% of their corn every year into ethanol.
It's 12 cents less per pound that an organization would get on renewable identification numbers that's sourced from Canada.
There is growth in the demand for renewable fuels, and it's huge.
Well, the thing I might add into this conversation, just so everyone knows on a history standpoint, not sure everybody knows this, but like the US uses probably 30 to 40% of their corn every year into ethanol. And it was originally done as a, reduce carbon emissions, green energy type of business, but it's quickly become a place where the US has a domestic use for their massive corn crop. So a couple reasons why they did this, and here's again, this is just my opinion on why they're pulling out all these biodiesel policies as they are now, is in the last 10 or 15 years, Brazil has overtaken them in terms of soybean production and area, and they keep growing every single year. So the smart people in the US, again, in my opinion, are using these policies as a way to have a domestic consumption for their massive crops. So some things that, I think Shaun said it here earlier. I'm not sure if Shaun or Dick said it earlier. Like we do produce a massive amount of grain around the world. There is enough food. It's just where do you put it and who can pay for it? So if you look at the origination of some of these policies, in my opinion, the US are looking for a domestic place to be able to use the massive amount of grain that they produce because they're losing market share to Brazil, to places like China. And if you
Yeah,
track,
that's
follow the money, like somebody taught me this a long time, follow the money. That's where the money's going.
that's bang on, Ryan. It's a good point. And like even just recently here with the new rules regarding biodiesel in the states, like I mean, when you're looking at your it's 12 cents less per pound that an organization would get on renewable identification numbers if it's product that they're using, say canola that's sourced from Canada. It's because it's not local stock. Like it's a 12-cent per pound loss that they experience just because they're sourcing it from outside of the U.S. Right?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Now,
Shaun, what's your response to that?
To which part, I guess, am I responding to?
Any part of it that sticks out
And
to you in particular? Ryan's little treatise on history there, or reasons why?
yeah, it's I don't know. There's a political component to the renewable fuels, and there's all sorts of reasons that people are doing it. Regarding, I think the gist of it is what got me talking about this, and the headline of your of the invite that you sent out for this podcast is there is growth in the demand for renewable fuels, and it's huge. The actual scale of this stuff is massive when you convert it into kind of food equivalent. So I'm actually, yeah, there's enough food and there's enough canola and there's enough canola oil, but my bias is that if you look at these changes in legislation and the continuing changes in sort of the trend, it's all it's pretty friendly values, and maybe we're going to have a giant crop in Canada and we'll have an extra couple million tons of canola, and that'll offset most of the increased demand. But holy camoly, when you look at these, the other thing is not only the U.S. Renewable fuels legislation, but when you look at like this thing that I told you about Indonesia going from a B40 to a B50, so a 50% blend requirement in their diesel, that's another 3 million tons of vegetable oil feedstock. So if you look at converting that into how much oil we produce with the Canadian crop, I mean, it's like over half of the Canadian crop would be required if we were the feedstock for biodiesel in Indonesia. So there's some positive things going on with these trends for the farmers.